Some sitcom characters create problems because they're selfish. Others create problems because they're careless. But Jack Tripper was different. Most of the time, he genuinely wanted to help. And somehow, that made the disasters even bigger. That's one of the funniest things about Three's Company. Jack rarely woke up intending to cause chaos. In fact, many of his biggest problems started because he was trying to protect someone, fix a misunderstanding, or avoid hurting another person's feelings. His intentions were usually good. His execution was usually terrible. And that combination became comedy gold. A typical episode might begin with Jack noticing a small problem. Maybe someone felt embarrassed. Maybe a friend needed help. Maybe a situation looked awkward and required a quick explanation. At first, the solution seemed simple. But then Jack stepped in. And suddenly everything became complicated. Instead of telling the truth immediately, he tried to smooth things over. Instead of allowing a misunderstanding to correct itself, he tried to control it. And every attempt to help only created more confusion. That's what made the comedy so effective. The audience could see that Jack meant well. They understood his motivation. But they also knew his plan was probably going to fail spectacularly. That created a perfect balance between sympathy and laughter. Viewers rooted for him while simultaneously enjoying the disaster unfolding around him. John Ritter played this dynamic beautifully. A less talented performer might have made Jack seem foolish. But Ritter made him lovable. Even during his worst decisions, audiences could still see the good intentions underneath the panic. That emotional connection made the character memorable. People didn't just laugh at Jack. They cared about him. And that's a huge reason the series remained successful for so long. His physical comedy also helped sell the character's good-hearted nature. When Jack panicked, it never felt manipulative. It felt genuine. He looked like someone desperately trying to hold everything together while watching events slip completely out of his control. The more pressure he felt, the harder he worked. And unfortunately, the harder he worked, the worse things usually became. That irony became one of the show's greatest strengths. The apartment setting amplified it perfectly. Because once Jack decided to fix a situation, the apartment became a maze of complications. People entered rooms unexpectedly. Conversations overlapped. Misunderstandings multiplied. And Jack found himself running from one problem to another, trying desperately to keep everything under control. The audience always knew what was coming. The truth would eventually come out. The misunderstandings would eventually collapse. And Jack would eventually face the consequences. But watching him struggle to delay that moment was often the funniest part of the episode. Another reason this formula worked so well is because it reflects real life. Many people create bigger problems while trying to solve smaller ones. Good intentions don't always lead to good results. And panic often makes situations worse instead of better. Three's Company exaggerated those truths for comedic effect. But the emotions remained recognizable. That's why the humor still connects with viewers today. Everyone understands the feeling of trying to help and accidentally making things worse. Everyone understands the frustration of watching a simple problem become unnecessarily complicated. And everyone understands the temptation to keep digging deeper once a mistake has already been made. Jack Tripper lived inside those situations every single week. And somehow, he made them hilarious. That's why audiences still remember him decades later. Not because he always had the right answer, but because his well-meaning mistakes created some of the funniest moments in sitcom history.